Vittorio Veneto's sun has set in June of this year. She was the last cruiser built in Western Europe and the flagship of the Italian Navy from 1969 to 1987. Compared to its size, this surface combatant had impressive firepower and aviation capabilities. Now, we are investigating the Vittorio Veneto helicopter cruiser, a ship that closed an era in Western Europe. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel before we start and give us a thumbs up if you like our video. To be notified of our new video, please click the bell button. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel. Vittorio Veneto was one of the most impressive Western surface combatants with her classically beautiful Italian design and high combat capabilities. Although this helicopter cruiser never fired its weapons in anger, Vittorio Veneto participated in many important missions and became a memorable naval ship. Two important breaking points had shaped the design of Vittorio Veneto: the applying missile technologies on the surface combatant and the emergent helicopter cruiser concept. The victors of the Second World War had brought many German engineers and blueprints to their countries, so their previous efforts on air defense missiles had accelerated. The early ground-based examples had reached maturity in the early 1950s. Now, they initiated to work on naval applications. In the mid-1950s, the US Navy began converting some of its Second World War vintage gun cruisers to guided missile cruisers. It quickly became a new trend for many navies. In 1962, the Soviet Navy fitted the Sverdlov-class cruiser Dzerzhinsky with the naval version of the S-75 missile, whose NATO reporting name is SA-N-2A. 2 years later, HNLMS De Ruyter now had the RIM-2 Terrier missiles. In 1972, France converted FS Colbert to a guided missile cruiser. Yet, Italy had been the first country to follow the USA in this new era. In 1961, this country had already converted the Second World War vintage Abruzzi-class cruiser Giuseppe Garibaldi to a guided missile cruiser. Also, before that, the Italian Navy had ordered 3 Andre Doria-class guided missile helicopter cruisers in 1957. Now it's time to mention the second important breaking point, the newly emerging helicopter cruiser concept at that time. Conventional warships can carry 1 or 2 helicopters. Their helipads are suitable for operating 1 rotary wing aircraft at once. But a helicopter cruiser could accommodate more helicopters, in some examples up to 14, and many of them could simultaneously operate more than one. The pioneers of this concept were France and Italy. In 1957, both countries ordered the first helicopter cruisers of the world. The French designed FS Jeanne d'Arc as a training vessel in peacetime and an anti-submarine warfare ship and commando carrier in wartime. But the Andre Doria-class of the Italian Navy was a pure anti-submarine warfare ship. Following these countries, the USSR commissioned 2 Project 1123 Condor-class helicopter cruisers, whose NATO reporting name is Moskva-class, between 1967 and 1969. Also, the Royal Navy converted the Tiger-class cruisers HMS Blake and HMS Tiger to helicopter cruisers between 1965 and 1972. We should add that the US Navy initiated the DDH-997 program, which would intend to design a helicopter destroyer version of the Surprise class. But later, Washington cancelled the project. Also, the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force commissioned 2 Haruna-class and Shirane-class helicopter destroyers in the 1970s and 1980s. As mentioned before, the Andre Doria-class, which carried 4 AB-204 helicopters, was the pioneer of the helicopter cruisers. Initially, Italy planned to have 3 ships of this class, but commissioned only Andre Doria and Caio Duilio. The third cruiser, Enrico Dandolo, was cancelled in favor of the more advanced and enlarged Vittorio Veneto, because the operational experience quickly showed that the 6,500-ton Andre Doria-class's design had been too small. Initially, Italy intended to build 2 ships of the Vittorio Veneto class, but the second cruiser, Italia, was cancelled in favor of the Giuseppe Garibaldi. Vittorio Veneto was laid down in 1965, launched in 1967, and commissioned in 1969. She had a similar layout as the Andre Doria-class. But different from her predecessors, Vittorio Veneto had 2 elevators and an enlarged aft flight deck. Also, the ship had 2 combination mast funnels rather than separate funnels of the Andre Doria-class. The cruiser was fitted with stabilizing fins to improve stability for helicopter operations. Thanks to the onboard AN/SQS-23 sonar, torpedo tubes, and the RUR-5 ASROC missiles, Vittorio Veneto also had an excellent anti-submarine warfare capability for its time without using its helicopters. The complement of Vittorio Veneto was 557 person. Her standard displacement was 7,500 tons, while her fully loaded displacement was 9,500 tons. The ship had a length of 179.6 meters, a beam of 19.4 meters, and a draught of 6 meters. The propulsion system consisted of 4 Foster Wheeler boilers and 2 Tosy turbines, which provided 73,000 horsepower. Her maximum speed was 32 knots. The ship could reach a range of 9,260 kilometers, in other words 5,000 nautical miles, at an economical speed of 17 knots. Initially, Vittorio Veneto had one twin-arm Mark 10 launcher for the RIM-2 Terrier air defense missiles and RUR-5 ASROC anti-submarine warfare missiles. The ship also had 8 76mm 62 caliber Allargato guns and 2 triple 324mm Mark 32 torpedo tubes. Later, Vittorio Veneto was fitted with 4 OTOMAT anti-ship missiles and 3 additional 40mm twin-barrel Dardo close-in weapon systems, and the SM-1ER missiles replaced the Terriers. The D-band SPS-768, also known as RIN-3L air search radar, had a maximum range of 200 km, while the range of EF-band SPS-52 was 450 km. The ship also had the I-band SPQ-2 surface search radar with a range of 74 km. Vittorio Veneto had the Sistema Direzione delle Operazioni di Combattimento 1, shortly SADOC 1 command system. It was Italian Navy's first computerized command system. The Mark 10 twin-arm launcher of the ship could fire air defense missiles and anti-submarine warfare rockets. Initially, Vittorio Veneto had the RIM-2 Terrier air defense missiles, whose maximum speed was Mach 3. The Terrier was effective at a range of 32 kilometers and an altitude of 24,000 meters, in other words 80,000 feet. It had a 99 kilogram control fragmentation warhead. The SM-1ER replaced the RIM-2 in the early 1980s. This missile increased the air defense area to 64 kilometers. It had a maximum speed of Mach 2.5 and an effective altitude of 24,400 meters, in other words 80,100 feet. The RUR-5 ASROC consisted essentially of an active-passive acoustic homing Mark 46 torpedo with a strap-on aerodynamic surfaces and a rocket motor to enable it to fly within the range of its submarine target. This subsonic missile could reach a range of 10 kilometers. Vittorio Veneto was carrying 40 air defense and 20 anti-submarine warfare missiles. The Italian Navy equipped the cruiser with 4 OTOMAT anti-ship missiles during the modernization in the early 1980s. The missile, with a 210 kg semi-armor-piercing warhead, had a maximum speed of Mach 0.91 and a range of 160 km. Vittorio Veneto had 8 76mm L62 Allargato, also known as OTOBREDA's 76mm L62 MMI guns, whose rate of fire was 59 rounds per minute. The gun had a maximum range of 18,400 meters and it was effective against both surface and air targets. The 76mm L62 Allargato was not effective against anti-ship missiles. So, the Italian Navy added 3 40mm twin-barrel Dardo onto the ship in the early 1980s. This gun could engage the air targets, including the sea skimming missile at a range of 4,000 meters. Its rate of fire was 900 rounds per minute. All 76mm and 40mm guns were radar controlled. Also, Vittorio Veneto was fitted for, but not with, 4 Polaris missile launchers. During the refit in the early 1980s, these launchers were removed. The cruiser's aft flight deck was 40 meters long and 18.6 meters wide. The hangar, which was below the deck, had a length of 27.5 and a width of 15.3 meters. 2 elevators connected the deck and hangar. Each of them was 18 meters long and 5.3 meters wide. Initially, Vittorio Veneto carried 9 AB-204 helicopters. Later, the AB-212s replaced them. The ship's hangar could accommodate all 9 AB-212s. On paper, Vittorio Veneto could also carry 6 heavy ASH-3H Sea King helicopters, but the hangar was too small for them, so the cruiser could accommodate the Sea Kings only on the flight deck. Although she never fired her weapons in anger, the operational career of Vittorio Veneto was quite busy. In its early years, the cruiser served many important humanitarian missions. The ship took part in the rescue operations in the 1976 Friuli earthquake. In 1979, the Italian Navy sent Vittorio Veneto alongside Andre Doria cruiser and Stromboli replenishment ship to the Gulf of Thailand to rescue Vietnamese refugees called Boat People. The Naval Group 8 consisted of the 3 ships saved and brought about 1,000 Vietnamese to Italy. In 1980, this time Vittorio Veneto helped the victims of Irpinia earthquake. In 1984, the Italian Navy tasked her with a real military mission when Italy sent its soldiers to Lebanon for the UN mission. It was the first deployment of the Italian combat troops outside of the country since the Second World War. Vittorio Veneto escorted the troop transport ships and patrolled near the Lebanese coast to support ground units if demanded. The ship took part in Operation Margarita, and she began to monitor the transatlantic Aquila Lauro hijacked by the Palestine Liberation Front as a terrorist act. The SH-3 helicopters took off from Vittorio Veneto, transported the commandos of the Italian Navy's Special Operations Unit, who landed on the ship. The aircraft carrier Giuseppe Garibaldi took over the title, the flagship of the Italian Navy from Vittorio Veneto, in 1987. During Operation Ibis, Vittorio Veneto served as the flagship of the 24th Naval Group of the Italian Navy. This group also included the Maestrale-class frigate Grecale, the Stromboli-class replenishment ship Vesuvio, and San Giorgio and San Marco landing ships, which transported the troopers of the San Marco Battalion to Somalia. Between April 20 to September 8, 1993, the cruiser participated in Operation Maritime Guard. During this time, she was the command headquarters ship of the NATO's fleet, which blockaded the maritime arms traffic to the former Yugoslavia. In the 1997 Albanian Civil War, the Italian Navy deployed Vittorio Veneto to the offshore waters of Albania. The cruiser was the flagship of the multinational task force that protected aid deliveries to this country. During the mission, because of severe weather conditions, she ran aground off the port of Vlora. Later, Vittorio Veneto was refloated by 4 tugboats without damage. On November 1, 2003, the Italian Navy decommissioned Vittorio Veneto. On June 29, 2006, she was disarmed and stricken from the list. In the beginning, Italy planned to turn this cruiser into the first Italian museum ship. But due to budget problems and the massive presence of asbestos in the ship, Rome abandoned the plan. In 2018, Vittorio Veneto was put up for sale. On June 8, 2021, the ship left Taranto harbor towards Alea in Turkey, where she would be scrapped. It was a symbol of a closing era. She was the last cruiser built in Western Europe. Vittorio Veneto was also one of the 2 cruisers to remain in service with the Western European navies. The last one was the FS Jeanne d'Arc, which was decommissioned in 2010. Initially, the Italian Navy had classified Giuseppe Garibaldi as an aircraft-carrying cruiser, but later reclassified her as aircraft carrier. Some viewers may claim that Giuseppe Garibaldi is the last Western European cruiser, but let's be realistic, she is not. Vittorio Veneto was one of the most strikingly beautiful warships of the last 50 years. Her firepower was quite impressive. Yes, she never fought. Still, Vittorio Veneto will always have a special place in the naval enthusiast memories and hearts. Thanks for watching our video. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up if you liked our video. To be notified of our new videos, please click the bell button. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel.